think we're good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. From all of us here at Julian Campbell Foundation, and hopefully we're going to be one of the first to wish you all a happy new year for 2024. And we're all really excited because today we have Maria Ferguson, and Maria Ferguson is a psychotherapist, and she's doing lots and lots of work. And today Maria's going to share with us about the work she does, the difference between psychotherapy and therapy, or psychotherapy and counseling or mentoring, and some of the work she does, and some of the important work she does with young people and their families. So good morning, good afternoon, Maria.
Good afternoon, Jackie. Thank you so much for your introduction. It's great to be here. Thank you.
And it's great to have you here. And I want us to just jump straight in because I'm really excited. So what is psychotherapy?
Okay, so psychotherapy is really looking at, what makes us tick emotionally. And I suppose it's really kind of it's beginning to understand at a very deep level, why we are the way we are, basically. And suppose, training as a psychotherapist, it's helped me understand, I suppose basically lots of things about, my past and, how they impact now, who I am in the present and all of that. So, yes.
Yeah. And what's the difference between psychotherapy and therapy, let's say?
Well, I would say that therapy is probably a word that we've inherited from our transatlantic family from America. I suppose traditionally we would regard therapy as maybe counselling. Counselling perhaps would be, working obviously at a level 2, at a good emotional level, but the psychotherapy would be at a much deeper level. So I suppose basically therapy is a generic term, and that would include as well counselling, and then psychotherapy would be, if you like, it encompasses, if you like, a breadth and a depth of supporting people to understand, their emotional process in life.
Yeah. And Maria, the exciting thing is that you've worked with young people for many years, and like in a moment I'm going to give you an opportunity to share, your achievements, but you've mentored young people, you've counseled, and you've been a psychotherapist. Can you just tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, so Jackie, I began my professional life. I qualified as a teacher of French and Spanish. I love traveling. I love learning languages, and teaching was the perfect, if you like, forum to, if you like, share that love of languages and to be with young people as well. So I spent 15 years working as a French and Spanish teacher in a couple of secondary schools in Northern Ireland, and teaching young people right the way through from 11 to 18, through GCSE, A-level, AS, all of that. And then basically I retrained. I took a short career break and I retrained, and I worked as a school counsellor. Growing up in Northern Ireland and an impact of the Troubles, basically all secondary schools had access to an independent counselling service, and I trained and became one of those counsellors, and had the privilege of working with hundreds of young people, in a variety of different secondary schools, and it was a great opportunity, just, if you like, to support young people therapeutically with, with different issues that they were dealing with. And then more recently, I worked as if you like, I worked in a local healthcare trust, supporting care experienced young people, their carers, their social workers, and I suppose it was very much working at the interface during COVID, between, young people in care and the challenges that they were experiencing, basically, with their education. And I suppose being a teacher, I was able to bring my experience of navigating the education system to supporting, those young people who were definitely at a disadvantage. And then I suppose the most recent thing that I have done is I completed a master's in adolescent psychotherapy. And if you like, it's I've now set up a private practice. I work part-time in a school mentoring young people, and I work in my private practice where I have the opportunity to support and empower young people and their families to deal with the issues that could be holding them back in their life in some shape or form. So
Yeah.
that's, if you like, a summary of what I've been doing, Jackie.
Well, yeah, and thank you for that, Maria. And I just wanted to really ask about, because it seemed that you already had a fulfilling career as a language teacher, and modern foreign languages teacher, teaching Spanish and French. And what was the deciding factor to retrain, and go in as, you were a school counselor then?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the difference for you?
Yeah, well, I suppose basically what I could see as a teacher, that it was always about producing results, and at the same time, being mindful of the emotional well-being of young people. But I suppose what I could see, probably just maybe being a teacher in Northern Ireland, and if you like, as a result of the troubles as well, that there were a lot of, young people, for example, experienced a lot of barriers to their learning. And I was always interested in, how I could support and empower young people. That's probably something that I've always, really been interested in. And I love, personal growth and development. I've always been, into that myself. And I just think that the more, if you like, self-aware, then the more effective I can be. And I think that that's something that really does inspire me, to be able to kind of share that and empower young people, basically for them to live their best lives. And I suppose, being a teacher, I had a really great understanding of the education system, and basically what makes young people tick. And I suppose basically to develop as a counsellor and to develop as well as a psychotherapist, it's given me a fantastic training and a really good grounding, to be able to empower young people to the best of my ability.
Yeah. Wow. And so you're already, a great counsellor and making a difference in children's and young people's lives. What is it that made you go to psychotherapy, and what difference do you see that you're able to make?
Well, I suppose, being a counsellor definitely gave me a great platform, to be able to reach young people. But I suppose with the psychotherapy training, what it has definitely given me is a depth, and it's given me, if you like, different resources and different, I suppose, creative dimensions. That's certainly one thing that I've really been trained and developed in, would be supporting young people to use, creative dimensions to tell their story, so to speak. And in particular, part of my training was with a Gestalt therapist, Brona Stars, from Omagh in County Tyrone in Northern Ireland. And basically part of the training involved, if you like, working with sand trays where young people would choose figures, or the therapist, myself as a therapist, where I can use basically figures to support young people to tell their story. So it externalizes it. It kind of in some ways objectifies, where they can actually see visually what are the key things that kind of have brought them to where they are in their lives, and maybe why they're dealing with the issues that they're dealing with. And I find that creatively, that, if you like, it's very, very powerful for young people when they can actually see, things visually for them. And then not only that, that they're able to, if you like, move the figures as well, where they can kind of, they get control, they get to kind of, they get to take ownership, and, they can see basically the links and why things have evolved possibly the way they have. So that's, I find that really fulfilling.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you for that, Maria. And can you give us a couple of examples of, a couple of young people and their families that you've worked with that really illustrate your work and how profound, psychotherapy can be, or adolescent psychotherapy?
Yes. So, I mean, I suppose, look, I've been extremely lucky and very privileged to work with lots and lots of young people. But I suppose there are a couple of young people who just who come to mind at the moment. And one girl is a Syrian refugee who basically had spent time in a refugee camp in the Lebanon, and then basically she was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to come to Ireland. And in the school where she was, the principal was very open to, if you like, supporting her therapeutically. She had, she had suffered a lot of trauma. Basically, she'd lost her country, lost her, family. She came with her mum and some of her siblings, but there was a lot of trauma in that little girl's past. And the principal invited me to work with that young girl, and I had the privilege of doing so for a couple of years. And what I found was that basically using, if you like, I suppose basically creative tools, and in particular the SAN space, that this young girl was able to tell her story, and all of the different people, what it was like for her when her dad was tragically killed, what it was like for her basically, to leave her country, what it was like, for basically to deal with war and uncertainty, and just basically to be so fearful and so frightened, and all of the different barriers that she overcame, the language barriers, the cultural barriers. And it was just a privilege to kind of work with that young person and to see her flourish and thrive and move on to secondary school, where she currently is. And that's one young person that comes to mind. The other is an older young person, basically, who has been dealing with autism and anxiety, and were initially, when she was referred, that she was really struggling, just basically to, just really struggling. She was finding it difficult to leave her bedroom. She was finding it difficult. She had dropped out of university. She wasn't really functioning, in many areas of her life. And, as our therapeutic relationship was developed, and working as well with her parents, who are very open, basically, I can see there are definitely green shoots where this young person is now, making plans for her future, where she is beginning to embrace new opportunities and new experiences in her life. And, there's something very fulfilling and something very, it's really is a privilege, to be able to kind of bear witness and to, if you like, support and empower young people on their journey. And that's something that really does inspire me. And those are a couple of young people. But I suppose just basically just being in schools, and just really, sometimes when you look at what young people have, if you like, the lot or the circumstances that they deal with, and how they manage, what I mean, how they kind of, the creative genius of managing, the circumstances that they find themselves in. And what I love is that they're open, what I mean, to maybe looking at things in a different way. And, so working with young people is a privilege and an honor, and I'm very grateful to be able to do that.
Yeah. And Maria, I mean, how have things been since the pandemic? Have you found like the greater needs? Because it seems that as a psychotherapist or an adolescent psychotherapist, you not only support the children, but you can also work with the family, and cause, and foster a deeper intervention. How have you found things since the pandemic?
Well, what I really noticed since the pandemic in relation to young people is, if you like, the rise in anxiety, and how, basically the rise in anxiety, and also as well, the importance of where maybe isolation, where young people have experienced isolation. But, so those are two things basically that I noticed in working with young people, that in the aftermath of the pandemic, they're kind of having to develop new ways of, being in their school. Or what I suppose what I really notice is too, that, the rise in school refusal, that's, that's definitely something that where young people are struggling basically to, to get out of their comfort zone, and to, to get back into a routine. And I suppose what I noticed is as well that during the pandemic, I was working a lot, on Zoom with young people. Now, it's great. I'm able to, if you like, work face to face and in person with young, and basically with young people directly. And I suppose basically as a result of the pandemic, that there is that flexibility, that Zoom and other platforms have, and basically mean that you can be in contact basically with people in a more versatile and a more flexible way too. And social media has allowed us to do that, or technology.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Thank you for that. And so tell us about your plans for next year, next week, or the 2024.
2024. So what I'm planning to do is to develop my private practice. With my private practice, I'm able to work with parents and and their young people, which is very good. And the other thing is as well that I would like to develop programs to bring into schools and work with young people to support them with developing their emotional literacy and their self-awareness. So to link in with local schools and to link in with local GPs and all of the different services where young people basically be loving. I suppose is to kind of join up that network and to continue to support and empower young people.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you, Maria. Thank you for sharing that, because it's just really interesting. That you've got so many tools in your box, that you're mentoring and you're counseling, and you've got the psychotherapy, and to be able to work at such a deep level with the young people and not only their families. Where can people, like there's a parent that wants to ask more questions or find out more, or a young person even, where can they find you to find out more about what you do?
I have a business card, and I can be contacted via email and my personal mobile. And so I have my business card, Jackie.
Yeah. Okay then. Well, after this call, maybe if you send me your number or your email address, so I can post it underneath the conversation.
Great. Thank you.
Our interview. So then, like, somebody, they've all got, a place to look to find you.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Thank you.
And I just want to ask you one more question.
Okay.
Would you come back and tell us about your work, like, next year?
Yes, I would love to do that. Yes, I would indeed. Jackie, thank you so much.
Okay then, Maria, thank you, and wishing you again a happy new year, and bringing happiness to the lives of the children and the parents that you're working with. And so thank you for watching this video, to all of you, and I'll be back next year with somebody from inside the foundation this time. So we wish you all a happy new year, and we'll see you next year. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Jackie.